I'm just a bill, yes I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long week while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be along. Yeah, yes, I hope and pray that I'll but today I'm
Good morning, this is Bill Scher on the LiberalOasis radio show, WHMP News, Information, and the Arts. It is an interesting political week. We saw in some recent polling that all that division and acrimony in the Democratic Party already seems to be fading away. You're already seeing Obama pick up some of that previous Clinton support. He has a 6-point lead in the latest NBC Wall Street Journal poll. The tracking polls, which I don't always trust as far as the hard number is concerned, but they both, Gallup and Rasmussen, both showed about a 6-7 point bump since Senator Clinton dropped out. All evidence that some folks, Democratic leaning folks, who were withholding support for Obama are now coming on board. And arguably, there's still more to come there. The NBC poll showed some resistance among suburban women. And that could potentially be recouped in the near future. The bad part about this political week, $4 a gallon gas. You know, people would talk about it. There'd be doomsday scenarios about it. You wouldn't really believe it was going to happen. It turned out this quickly. When Bush came into office, a gallon of gas was $1.46. I think if you make that inflation adjusted, maybe that's like $1.70 something. This is more than double over the course of his term. The average American household is going to spend more than $2,300 on gas this year than they did in 2001. And even though conservatives have controlled Congress, controlled Washington this whole time, what is their main response? One, I think it's Nancy Pelosi's fault. And two, we don't drill enough. Why isn't there more drilling? Why can't we destroy more wildlife protection areas? That will solve the problem. You know, the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, that's their white whale. Why can't we drill there? You know, Bush's own energy department put out a study a few years ago. How much oil's in there? What impact would it have? It said that it would lower the price of crude oil, not the price at the pump. Price of crude oil by 2025, 50 cents. Now, to put that in perspective, the price of crude oil per barrel during the 2000 campaign was $30. And it's now $138. So that's about a bit over $100 jump. Ruin the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. You knock off 50 cents. You know, this is reality-based thinking in the conservative movement. Now, for the rest of us, you know, the big issue here is, you know, you and I don't have a choice but to spend copious amounts of money on huge amounts of oil. Now, those of us in Northampton and other parts, you know, we are a little bit lucky. Oh, it's a walkable city. There are bike paths. There's a decent bus system. You know, we have some options here, but most parts of the country, you don't have bike paths. You don't have good mass transit. You don't have a lot of choice but to use your car to get to and from work. And you are at the mercy of big oil. And that's not the free market. That's policy. You and I give tax breaks to big oil, give them incentive to produce more, as if they need incentive with the price of oil at $138 a barrel. But there is no investment or incentives in the big picture for alternative fuels, for energy efficiencies, for mass transit, investment in bike paths, etc. So conservatives are always preaching choice, except for abortion. But we have no choice when it comes to energy right now, effectively. And the fact that gas is more expensive now, this was not a surprise. Everybody knew that world demand was increasing. Everybody knew that supply is getting tighter. The Saudis are sitting on what oil they have because they know it's going to run out. And they know they get more money keeping it tight now. They know they'll have more in the reserves for later. You know, Bush always says, you know, why are there no more refineries in this? Why don't we build more refineries? Well, you could build more refineries. In fact, there have been refinery expansions. He always says there's been no new refineries. True, there's been refinery expansion. But if people want to invest in oil refineries, they could. Oil companies don't really want to. They're making money as it stands. Their profits are through the roof. Why ruin a good thing? So they had no policy to invest in other clean, renewable energy choices so that clean energy, energy-efficient vehicles and appliances, weatherizing your homes, etc., those kinds of options would be affordable and accessible to everybody. They did not make the choice. We can make a choice in changing our policies, and we can reject all their pro-drilling idiocy. Other interesting thing this week, you know, now that the primary has been now the primary is over, the general election's engaged, when McCain makes about a gaffe a day, but we haven't really paid attention to it because everyone's been distracted. Now we can pay attention. So this is what McCain had to say opposing Social Security privatization in a town hall in New Hampshire on Thursday.
But I'm not for, quote, privatizing Social Security. I never have been. I never will be.
He's never, ever, ever been for Social Security privatization. This is McCain in the town hall. Everyone knows he loves the town halls. He is so good in those town halls. Why can't we have town halls with Obama every single day for the campaign? McCain would shine. Well, here's McCain also in New Hampshire in 2004 fielding an audience question about Social Security privatization.
Will privatizing Social Security be a priority for you going forward?
The end of the second question, privatizing Social Security, what?
Be a priority for you going forward?
I don't see how your second question is easier than the first, and I addressed it a bit in my remarks. Without privatization, I don't see how you can possibly, over time, make sure that young Americans are able to receive Social Security benefits.
You have to take my word that his next sentence was, and therefore I'm against privatization because I want to see how the young people get screwed. In 2004, he used the word privatization, said without privatization we couldn't save Social Security. Now, it was soon after that, in 2005, when George Bush proposed Social Security privatization, that all of the Republican pollsters said, don't use the word. Say personal accounts. Everybody hates privatization. We say that people don't like their government, but it's not really true. So don't say privatization. That scares everybody. McCain didn't get the memo fast enough, but he got the memo today. So he says, I've never been for privatization and I never will be. Now, let's say, theoretically, McCain, this is what I don't understand about McCain. You know, he could say that he changed his view. People change their minds. That's fine. But he's got to be absolute about it all the time. You know, he is so sure of his moral certitude that, and you'll see this a lot with him. I've never done X. I've never done X. And then you can go back and find out when he did it. It's just a blind spot with the guy. So the right thing to do when you change your position on something like that is that you say, you know, I changed my position for these reasons. That way it doesn't seem like it's politically expedient. You're giving some explanation why you changed. Problem is McCain hasn't changed. He's just now using the pollsters' advice, the Republican pollsters' advice not to use the phrase. Still for, in his words, private accounts. He said he is for a Social Security plan along the lines of what Bush proposed. That's privatization. He just said that only a couple months ago. So I saw a Los Angeles Times Bloomberg poll, I think it was a month or so ago, had Obama beating McCain. Where McCain was strongest was in voters over 65. As there was a generational divide in the Democratic primary, there seems to still be amongst the general electorate. This is And this is strange because typically Democrats have done well with voters over 65 because of Social Security. I suspect that voting bloc isn't fully aware of McCain's support for Social Security privatization. I suspect that information will become known over the course of this campaign. And so if Obama maintains his support for those under 65 and wins that block, this is beyond game over.